Hello and welcome to another edition of Cranky Gun Reviews. I think at this point I should probably have started a whole series on Riot and police shotguns because it seems like in the past several months I've bought quite a few of these, and mainly that's just because I've seen some really cool stuff come through the used bins at my local gun shops. This is yet another exception to the rule of really cool guns that I probably shouldn't have bought but I wanted anyway. And I'll tell you why here in a second. This was at Cabela's, and, going through the racks, I always look at these ratty guns. But the one thing that really caught my eye is what's printed here or stamped here on the barrel. Riot. That's right. This is actually a factory Winchester Model 1200 Riot shotgun. And you can see the proof marks here on the receiver and on the barrel. This was a model that I had never even really heard of before. It's kind of an odd duck because it has a rotating bolt, kind of like an AR-15 that locks into the breech on this thing. And this is a true 18-inch barrel gun. I measured from the face of the bolt and to the end of the barrel is about 18 and a 16th inches long. And it came from the factory like this as a contract to the government. Judging by the information I've been able to find on the serial number on this, this was made before they started putting the letter L before the serial number on the shotgun. So that means that this came out in early to mid, probably 1968. And the fact that the serial number range starts in the 400,000 range, that means that this was most likely a government contract Riot gun. Now you can see me struggling here a little bit to rack the action on this, and I think it was just because the bolt, even though I'd already taken this apart and cleaned it, I think maybe the bolt was a little bit gummy inside, and I was using some reloads with, I think, green dot shotgun powder, and it just seemed to be a little bit gummy. One of the other things I noticed after shooting this for a while is that sometimes the safety, when you would push it off to fire, after the first round, the safety felt like it would re-engage. There's not really a good detent left on that safety to keep it either in safe or in fire mode. You have to kind of push on the button twice to get it to stay in whatever mode you want it to. And as I get further along in this video, I think you'll see why. I believe this was probably a police contract gun or, some type of a shotgun that was used by law enforcement and most likely was kept in the trunk of a car just banging around in a bag or something. It does function fairly well, and again, being that it's a 12 gauge, it does have some pretty good recoil, but you're still able to shoot it even from the hip rather well, and it does have that cylinder bore 18-inch barrel, so fits right along with my collection. Now, if you see the pictures here and the video here, it doesn't have the magazine extension on it, and it has a full-length foregrip on it. Again, when I get to the pictures here in a minute, I'll show you why I decided to change that foregrip, but this gun looked like it was extremely well used. Somebody at some point has repainted the receiver and refinished the stock on it, and that's really the main thing that caught my eye on this, is how nice the stock looked. So again, you can see here, this is the original handguard. You can see how much of the cross-hatching or the checkering has been worn off, how much of the finish is worn off the bottom of this thing. It just looks like it has been banging around in the trunk of a car or some other vehicle or something for quite a long time. On both sides of the barrel, there is a considerable amount of bluing wear. So again, it just looks like it's been laying on its side for a long period of time, rubbing around on something in a trunk. And again, you can see how worn out the paint on the trigger guard is. But the receiver does look like it's been repainted, and the stock has definitely been refinished. Again, here you can see how the safety sometimes gets a little bit stuck in a position. So I did take it apart and clean it, again, when I first got this gun, and the amount of parts inside this thing with the rotating bolt and the trigger and everything else, there's a lot of parts inside this gun. It's a pretty considerably highly engineered firearm. And again, stock on this thing looked really great. That was one of the things that caught my eye. The trigger guard and a lot of the other parts you can still get for this thing, so I may end up buying some more. And I did buy a corncob grip foregrip for it, and I did put a Choate tool magazine extension on it. So The funny thing is the barrel on this gun is so short that the Choate tool extension, even though it's only a +2 extension, actually is longer than the barrel when it's screwed on the magazine tube. And again, that's just due to the fact that this is a 18-inch, almost on the money barrel. But whatever the history behind this thing, I don't really know what it is. Like I said, based on the serial number, I do believe this was a military or a government contract shotgun, and it was a Riot gun from the factory, which makes it all the cooler.